We're live.
Hello,
All right.
hello.
Hi, chat. Hello, everyone. I'm Guillotine. I'm Alex. Or zGz. Old handle comes out.
It was fate. It was fate. We knew it
Oh
was coming.
no! Okay, okay. Um, we're making 3D card art. Leaked. Yeah. Hello, everyone. But yeah, if you guys had like old 3D cards, or I mean, old like Pokemon cards, Magic cards, Yu-Gi-Oh cards, uh, any type of cards. um, I make 3D versions of them. So I guess I'm just gonna do like a step-by-step session of that today. Hi everyone.
Yeah. So I'm here too.
Alex.
Just yeah,
Yeah, and
I'm here
Brad
too,
Brad is
Brad.
also here with me for discussion purposes and all this other stuff.
Yeah, I'm here
A lot
mostly
of
to
other fun
moderate,
stuff.
just because Alex will be working very hard, so you might not notice chat all the time.
Yeah.
But so what is actually like what
Double
is a
delayed
3D
Brad.
card art? What is a 3D card art?
I mean, it's art. You take pretty much anyone can do it, and you can do it as little or heavily detailed as possible, as you'd like, anyways. And it's just pretty much all you need is a bunch of cards, ways to cut the cards, ways to glue the cards at the very, very most basic level of it. But yeah, and I just kind of do that. I kind of started off by making friends a bunch of Christmas gifts last year. They all liked it, and they all said I should just make it, and now I just make it for a ton of people. And like as a side hobby as well. Yeah.
Occasionally, you
Um,
do commissions, is my understanding as well.
yes, I also do commissions every now and then. Every other month or so, I'll open them up. Do a Black Lotus. I mean, like, if someone is willing to shell out, like, however, it's 10K for original, right? That amount of money, because you need multiple cards for that. I will do it. I will do it. That will probably hurt a lot of Magic players' souls, though.
So then, how did you get started with this? Like, what are you doing with
Specifically,
this? Yeah.
okay, yeah. Specifically, again, I thought of it as a really cool Christmas gift. I actually found it through a YouTuber slash streamer I've been watching for years called Jaywitz. He did a video on it like last June or July, and I thought it was really, really, really cool. And I've had a ton of cards like growing up as a kid. Like I used to play the game too. I collected them and I had all that other stuff. So I had a lot of bonus extra cards lying around. I'm like, you know what? I kind of want to make it. And then it kind of evolved into me just ordering specific cards to make that specific art for it. All right, Nick, see ya. But yeah.
Well, that's awesome. So
If I can
so
drop
then
the link to that video, even if you want
I'll have
as
to
well.
drop it. You won't be able
Yeah,
to.
yeah,
I'll do
yeah.
it. I got you. So okay. So what's the game plan today? What are we working through?
We're going to be making a specific card that I haven't shown yet or announced yet. But yeah, also quick, I should also say that too. The card we're making today is actually going to be given away. So by the end of the salt event, the giveaway is going to be closed. Details to it are on my Twitter. I just made a post for that. So yeah, the card that we're making today is going to be given away by the end of the stream. I mean, end of the event. Honestly, going to be a Cypher there? Maybe.
Scyther is a
Probably
cool
say
Pokemon.
I'll probably save it for that. But yeah, again, today I'm just gonna do a step-by-step kind of rush, like not rushed, but sped up process of what I normally do. I normally do stream, like I do stream the making process sometimes. It normally takes like 4 or 5 hours, so I just kind of like did a lot of prep work, and we're gonna do like a speed run version, I guess now,
Yeah, it's kind of
of
the
what the card's
abridged
gonna be.
like cooking version, right? Like kind of when you
Yeah,
watch
yeah,
a
we're
cooking
doing a
show and
cooking
they
show pretty much.
yeah. Okay, so cool. Can you show off what these cards look like, and so people can see
Oh
like a
yeah, yeah,
visual?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'd
Sure,
love to
sure,
see
sure.
what they can see here.
All right, all right. So these are all like other cards I have done in the past that I still own slash commissions that have not been picked up yet. So yeah, I do stuff like I only have Pokemon cards right now. I'm planning on doing more stuff like this. So it's just like it's the basic Pokemon card made into 3D. I'll put them up closer in a second. I also do like energy variants, which I thought was really really like I love doing these. Is where I just make energy cards and have like 2 Pokemon of that energy like posed into that card as well. Um, from a 3D perspective, I really really like that concept. So yeah, it's
It's a
pretty much what
really
I
it's a
do.
really cool way of pulling together like unique cards so that people have
Yeah,
displays for something they had from their childhood and even now.
exactly. And like again, as little or as high detail as you want. and as rare a card if you want as one as well, depending on what your budget is. So like, yeah, for example, I made this like at Salt Flats last year as a con, so it was like it was at the convention, so it was like a really quick process. So like as you can see here, it's a little bit, there's like a Sharpie background in the back or whatnot, as opposed to this Dragonite one, which I got online, has a shiny hollow form to it. I made prior. And it's hard, it's kind of hard to tell, but it's actually painted in the background, so like you don't really see a shadow or anything of that. But yeah, it's like pretty much open to your interpretation of it. Low punny, if only there was a low punny. So yeah, it's pretty much all for the intro, I guess.
Well, and I think that I think it just it says a lot about how much work goes into it. I mean, you're literally talking about painting, doing Sharpie, re-editing the photos on the card a little bit, and that's there's a lot more that goes into it rather than just like sticking a few cards together and hoping for the best.
As I said though, as little or much detail as you want into them. I've seen people like actually like take the energy, like sorry, classic screams. So I've seen people actually like just take the energies here and the borders and like the extra like stages and all those phases here. Sorry, my autofocus is a little bit off. And make those 3D, even like the bottom energy cards as well. And again, the top end like inside window border for that and whatnot.
Incredible stuff.
Yeah. So again, I don't really go that far because a lot of really small work and like can be really scary if you screw that up. But yeah.
So I guess without further ado, what are we doing? What's today's? What are we working on today?
Today's card? Okay, yeah, today's card is a card I just had in my collection. I had enough copies of, but it's a Snome. So a little slug boy.
He's pushing the snow. That's so cute.
Yeah, he's pushing the snow. I think it'd be really cool. We got to work with like a little indent here. It's in the snow, pushing it. We got a few extra layers that we can work with. The Pokemon itself is really cool, and you can actually do a bunch of separate layers for that. So I think it's just like kind of works out perfectly in a way.
And are you able to describe your process on like right here is probably where you figure out what you do with the card? How are you gonna make it 3D? Can you explain that process a bit?
Yeah. So again, not again. I normally do it like mentally. I just have like a really good memory for that type of stuff. So I'll look at the card, analyze myself. I need to determine how many layers I need first, which typically on the low side, you need 6 layers for a card. And it can go up to like 10 or 12 after that. So when I was looking at the Snom card here, I'll do a write-out version actually, because I said I would do a write-out version. Looking at the card itself, we got Snom. That's the initial like focus point of this. So I'm gonna just drop in half. Snom itself, I'm planning on having multiple layers of and making the Snom a little bit more 3D and pop out as well. So I kind of want to write out what type of layers go where for it and the base of the card. Part of my writing, and I know I hold pens and pencils and knives. Weird. I can't. I tried growing up. I can't change it. I've tried. Would you rather have a house or a 3D Black Lotus? The choice is yours. Finished products are like ogres. Yeah, ogres, they definitely do have layers. But yeah, looking at some here, there's a lot of how I planned it out. I want 3 separate layers for Snom. So I want the base body with there's these 2, I guess 3 like little lumps there that I want to be behind the character itself. So how would I write this out? God dang. So let's do top layer, second layer, third layer. So the third layer, the bottom, is going to be rough shape like this. Cut out like that, kind of. Middle layer is going to be like kind of the middle profile. So this is where we want their face. We want the actual main body. We want this spike and this spike. Okay, the drawing's a little off, but whatever. So yeah, this is like the face. Drop. Spike here. and spike there. It's kind of like that. And then the top one is pretty much I want to cut out individually these extra like these little spikes here. So the two whatever we had left. So these two forefront ones, this top one and then the two top ones on the front as well. We're gonna add as well. Lotus won't depreciate like oh my god. So yeah, it's like these little lumps. And then whatever is drawn out. The main card itself, it's a snowbank. Again, you can do as many or little layers as you want. You can honestly just plop the snom on the card, have this as a background, and then have the leaves as a foreground, and that could be the card if you really want. But how I mapped it out, I want the background of the card, which is just the base card, which is just going to be the full trail. I'm going to have a background and foreground that's going to be both behind the snom and in front of the snom for the snow, to kind of create kind of an elusive thing that it's actually going through it. So that one is just going to get cut in a line here, and the front one is going to be there, if that makes sense. So and then the leaves, and then the top card for the panel and the window, because I add that as a finishing touch as well. So top layer is obviously just going to be the square. Second layer is going to be the leaves. Here, let's just do the window. Third layer. Snom's going to be somewhere in the middle there. Snom itself is going to be like detached from everything, so I don't really count it as a layer. I'm going to be using a foam back to keep the snom center in the full card. So it's going to be kind of floating there. So I'm not going to count that as a layer in itself. But the snom will go in between the 2 and 3 layer. Essentially, that's what I want. And then the front 3 and 4 layer. My bad. We got a snowbank here. Then it's snom.
It's masked a few times in the chat, but is this tournament legal?
Is this tournament legal? I mean, if you have a full stack of perfectly cut, perfectly centered, perfectly made the exact same way of cards, maybe.
Yeah, if you can't differentiate from it and another card in your deck.
Differentiate them too, or like any of them, they're exact copies of each other. I don't see why not.
Just really thick card sleeves.
But yeah, fourth layer, it's this kind of background snowbank. I'm creating like another snow. So essentially, I picked snow specifically because the background is going to be very simple. There's snow. It's easy to actually paint white and do all that other stuff. I mean, to paint and like fill in the background details in a short time frame. But essentially, what I want to do is I want to cut over and mask. So after I do this bank, I'm going to cut over and mask this bank. So it's like pretty much I'm cutting over itself, if that makes sense. Sorry, I'm bad at speaking this through.
No, it makes good sense. You're doing good.
Total sense. And then finally, the fifth layer is the back. So that's kind of the overlay. We're kind of deciding, like I said before, I want to use paint instead of like a Sharpie background for this one, again, because it's so simple. I can paint the white. There's not much detail that I actually want to fill in. There's not a lot of buildings that the cards are like the layers are covering. So we're going to paint this eventually once we get to that step. And yeah, I guess we just kind of prepare the materials for that now. Which again, if you want a more concise, like detailed video, that the zGz video actually covers quite a bit of it. But yeah.
Well, and you stream this somewhat regularly, right? Like every once in a while, you'll do.
Every once in a while, yeah. I mostly do games, but I do incorporate card art streams as well. Imagine shuffling the deck. Oh my god, it'd be like a tower. So yeah.
So now you prepare the materials next, or
So
what do
yeah,
you?
essentially what we need is we've decided I need 3 layers for the snom, and then 5 total layers for the cards that I want that to be seen or projected onto the card itself. So I'm going to need 5-6 copies of the snom, mostly because I could reuse a lot of the center panel stuff for the snom itself as well, which I have copies of. I do have 5 copies of, obviously. 6 copies of, sorry, brain.
Well, and usually you'd have like this would be like all the starting process. You do this before you get going. But my
Yeah, a
understanding
lot
is
of the
you've
time.
pre-prepared a lot of this. You've kind of done it before the panel started, if I'm not
Yes,
mistaken.
yes, I have. I have prepared like most of this as well. Um, but yeah. So, and I also normally don't do this like I mentioned before. I don't normally draw this out on my own time. I kind of do a mental thing, unless the card is like super detailed. Like I recently did a Greninja commission, and oh my god, it was a lot more complex than I thought it would be. So I actually had to write out the card itself, or draw out what I needed and what layers and how many pieces of that card to actually like put it into a final product. It's
Well,
pretty tedious.
yeah, and I
Yeah.
mean it depends on the card you're looking at too. Like you said, I mean the detail that goes into a Pokemon card of an older generation might be a little easier than
Yep.
the details that go into like. I mean, I know you've been dabbling in other cards other than Pokemon that have
Yes.
really
Yeah.
so really dangerous some dangerous implications.
What, the other cards thing?
Oh, they're just more difficult cards is
Yeah, there
all.
are more difficult cards and different sets. Different types of cards are as I found out as playing, and even within like the like Pokemon cards, for example, different generations and different companies obviously use different cardboard. It's different layers, different thicknesses, and even the card art style itself has changes over the years. So you actually need a like I don't know. It's the material's always different depending if unless you're working on like the exact same card set constantly. But yeah, Black Lotus. But yeah, I've done a couple Magic cards, mostly Pokemon cards, and I am starting to do planning to do Monster Hunter cards. Actually, I found Monster Hunter cards, so we're gonna be having some 3D Monster Hunter art eventually.
That's incredible.
Mm-hmm. Um, Another thing I want to mention too is that you technically can, if you get a thick enough paper, you can just print out with like a laser printer the cards you want, like a card design you want, and make it that way instead of using actual original cards. I personally like the look of original cards though, because you can use other copies of cards to make it like one solid form. So for example here, some people use like foam pieces to space out the layers. I use a bunch of copies of the same card set / card type to make it look like it's just one solid card, as opposed to just like 7 cards, separated from itself. Proxy Black Lotus? Yeah, too. Totally could.
So you're saying you put a bunch of cards in between them that are just like random other cards from the same set?
Yes. So random other cards from the same set. So this one is, or not even the same set, more so the same year. So it could be different sets for the same year, but every now and then Pokemon obviously changes how the borders of the like, but the Pokemon are even in are different. So I use spacer cards, which I cut open. So I prepped a bunch of them today and kind of fill them in. I also like using cards over foam because you can dictate how far apart you want each layer to be, as opposed to I think with foam it's a little bit harder to work with. And it's just like, oh, these layers are specifically spaced from each other a certain way. What's my favorite legendary Pokemon? Probably Zapdos. I'm not a big fan of Gen 1, but Zapdos is pretty solid. Yeah, true, with the Magic the Gathering changing their borders. Um,
All right. So what does this process actually start with? Where are we going to get started today?
Cutting phase. So that extra snom card I had, I want to be cutting. I was thinking about it. And I think I want to do the front snowbank layer, because it kind of shows like what you need to do for getting a straight line along the edges for layers that are against the card edge, as opposed to just like a card that's in the center of the card, because for that you just cut it out completely. Having layers that are against the card edge are more ideal than not. I should have specified earlier. So yeah, pretty simple. You use an X-Acto knife. They come in various forms and sizes. I got a couple. Got them off Amazon, pretty cheap. And then you could just buy blade replacements, which, by the way, you need sharp blades. Like, they will dull pretty fast if you're doing them in large numbers. So yeah, always check the sharpness of it before you start using it, because I have had a couple times where the blade's dulled enough where I'm like cutting along a ruler and it doesn't catch the card properly and it slips and nick my fingers. Which, by the way, yes, careful with knives. I feel I should just like make that as a quick drop right now.
Yeah, don't
As with
don't
anything,
use knives
cut away
without
from
experience.
yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Parental supervision if you need it. Sharp blade is definitely safe blade, exactly as the saying goes. But yeah, I think this layer, it's simple enough to cut. It shows me kind of like doing some guesswork or follow work on a layer with that I can't follow the lines for. And it has borders for me to show how I want to cut, like how I cut spacers and like the top guard, for example, as well. So again, you need a knife, and for this process as well, you need a ruler, a metal ruler specifically, because any other one, X-Acto knife will just cut right through as you're cutting along it. So yeah, again, for me, I want to pick out the snowbank here, and then it's going to go through the leaf a little bit there. And then it's obviously going to cut off along all of these edges too. With once I cut it out, I'll do it with a ruler. Yeah. Again, I hold knives differently. Or pens, pencils, knives.
Everyone's got their own method. It's all good.
They do. It's just like, honestly, it's funny. I actually hold it like this, but when people look at me writing, it looks like I'm holding it like this, which I don't hold it like this. It goes between a few fingers. So.
And if anyone has any questions in the chat, I'll help moderate while he's working here so that I can ask him over voice. Yeah. So you feel free to throw anything out.
I slipped on that layer, but whatever. But yeah, again, you could take as much time or as little time as you need. I mean, take as much time as you want, because I feel being more patient with it, you'll get a better result. There's no rush in finishing it. You're not going to get hard, ugly edges if you rush it. Was the music slapping? I can't hear it right now.
Yeah, we threw on some music in the background. No
yeah,
worries.
It makes total sense. So yeah, cut along the edge here. So, well, it's hard to see. Well, I separated it. So yeah, I cut along that snowbank here. I did a guesswork with a line here and a little bit of a guesswork to follow the line here for that front snowbank area to show. And then now pretty much the process of cutting out the fat, the excess fat of the card.
Get rid of what you don't need, right?
Exactly. So for this step, you want a straight line. And again, also adding to the sharp blade point, I've noticed with a very, very fine blade tip, it's way easier to dictate where the point is going to be to cut. So like, I found when the knives are duller, it could catch a little bit in front of the ruler or a little bit behind, and it doesn't actually cut like as straight as you want it to. With a sharper blade, it definitely helps a lot more with that as well. So yeah. Always cut away from yourself, that rule. You want to line up the ruler along along your border that you want to cut. And you want to put as much pressure on the ruler and card as possible to avoid any type of slipping whatsoever. So yeah. And it was during this process that I like nicked myself really, really bad when I was first starting doing this.
So you have a few battle scars
away.
in this process, eh?
Oh yeah. I mean, it happens with any like, you can have as much knife safety as possible, I think, with this. But when you're cutting along a super thin line, I try to cut away for myself. But since I need to keep the pressure on the card, a lot of the times my fingers are still going to be in front of it. So if it catches, it catches.
So I guess the most important thing for people trying to get started with this, if they're new, would be, make sure there's some kind of safety method in the background, whether you have a cover or,
like definitely cover.
Even just Band-Aids or a friend nearby, in the event.
Well, not even that. Also, just take your time. I think that's the thing I probably need to emphasize the most on it. Just taking your time with it. Specifically. And keeping as much precaution as possible. Make sure that you have someone with you. Make sure if you are not comfortable with knives, you have someone supervising, obviously. Or you have a plan, which again, that's like last case scenario type deal. Is you want to, yeah. For if you actually do cut yourself, sorry. And yeah. I should also mention too, other than the top layer, I found with my personal experience, cutting past the border is good because you're not going to see that unless it's on the top layer of the card. Cutting off a little bit extra on the border actually guarantees you cutting not leaving bits of the original art in the middle. So yeah. Middle here. Cut away for myself as always. And then it should just pop out if I did it correctly. Sometimes you have some quarters you just kind of need to push through and kind of pop out. And then I just double check the card itself to see if I like missed a little bit of like excess art, I guess, along any of the lines I cut, which I think I actually did pretty good other than that one slip I did earlier. So yeah, that's kind of the cutting phase. And then you do that pretty much for every layer you have.
And using TV magic.
With our cooking program, cooking prep, I have prepped all of the layers, including the layer I just cut out. I did something with it, though, that I kind of wanted to change, but I think I might use the original one. So yeah, I like to map out the order I have it in. So this is my base layer, top layer, second layer, front layer, and then the front layer. And of course, the little snom pieces itself. Highly recommend having a bowl or something for smaller pieces. You don't know how many times, if you just like even sneeze or like sigh, blow, exhale, or just move anything, these pieces you will not find unless they're in a bowl. Yeah, here we have it, all cut out and ready. I actually do have a couple spacer cards I need to finish up on because I didn't have enough time to finish it. So I'm going to do that really quick. If there's, I guess, Q&A or something.
Yeah, toss in the Q&A.
Yeah.
So take this moment to go and follow zGz Productions, zGz_productions on Twitch if you haven't already.
Twitch, YouTube, Twitter. The giveaway. Again, like I said, I'm a variety guy. I'm currently month of October. My whole thing is horror.
Yeah, doing some spooky stuff.
Lots of spooky stuff. So.
And I just do the giveaway in the chat for everybody. If you haven't had the opportunity to get involved, I highly recommend it.
Yeah. A bowl full of snom. Yeah.
Well, and okay, here's the question.
Good yeah, go for it. Wait. It's snom good layers, you know?
Oh no. So I question for you while you're cutting here.
Yeah.
What would the average commission cost for these be? Just run of the mill, like if it's obviously card rarity will make a big difference, but
yeah. So essentially, what I normally do for my stuff is like $50 for the work a lot of the time. If it's a bit more detailed, like and it's going to take me a long ass time. I might add a little bit more, and then however much it would cost me to get the specific cards needed for you guys, which again, I order them specifically online. Sometimes the cards are like $3 each, sometimes they're like 20 cents plus shipping. Typically that rounds out to about $10 though on average, so it's roughly I normally do around $60 for it, Canadian.
And that makes sense because, like, you know, you might get the odd card that's a holographic or something, and the holographic version like might look exactly the same and perform the same, but it costs $3.50 per card instead of the usual 30 cents.
I should also mention too, holos are really hard to work with in general. If you want to do holo card art, I've seen it done. I've seen like there's some I can't remember their handle, but there's this one guy I found on Tumblr from Japan, and he like does Yu-Gi-Oh holo cards in super high detail. I think he puts like some type of like finish coating on them and stuff too, and he spends hours like just painting them. And yeah, they turn out really good. But holos in general actually have a different type of thickness to them, and they're really hard to work with. And I've also found out that a lot of the time holo cards have a like it's a sticker layer almost on the top, so there's chances of that peeling back when you're cutting that out. Specifically, so it's really good to have just common cards, non-holo cards, flat basic cards. But yeah, nothing spookier than seeking. He's just seeking for some friends. That's all he is. Also, yes, I pun a lot. It's just in my nature.
Oh Lord. Stu says Alex out here fishing for laughs.
Appreciate it. I appreciate it. Okay, cut here. Sorry.
It's all good. You finish your spacers. You're set, fam.
I think I only need to do 3. It's fine. For spacers specifically, I guess I should talk about this. Spacers specifically, typically you want twice the amount of spacers as you do for
layers, base
layers. Layers you need. So this one, since it's 6, I'd probably would need around 12 spacing cards. That also depends on. There's a lot of stuff that vary with it. Sometimes you want like something to look very far away, so you use 4 cards instead of 2 in between a layer. But yeah, on average, I'd say around double. That's the best way to describe it. Rip off.
And the wonderful thing is, if you are getting into creating these kinds of things, is you get the opportunity to like kind of make that choice, and you can make mistakes to find out what you prefer, right? Obviously, I'm sure Alex would agree with me, but having the opportunity to start on like less valuable cards, like get started on cards that you don't care as much about, and then work your way up to cards that you do care a lot about.
Oh yeah. Go for it.
Yeah, it's just a matter of like, you know, taking the time to kind of learn the craft and make those mistakes. But once you get that hang for it, it's a lot of eyeballing and a lot of just kind of, you know, estimating in your head what you think would be right.
Yes, and again, like those Christmas gifts I did, like I love making them. I spent a lot of time on them, but there are by doing those cards, there were a lot of like small things that I kind of like picked up on that, oh, I can't really do this specific way. For example, I think your card, Brad, was a Bouffalant, right?
Yeah.
That's like prime example. I did a Bouffalant. It had 2 Natus sitting in its fro, and I jumped straight into, okay, I'm going to cut out these tiny Natus, and with even a sharp knife, that's really hard to do. You have fingers like pressed up against it, which, by the way, I should also add. Did I bring them? Are they on my desk? Yeah, they are. Tweezers. For those smaller like bits and pieces, for painting, for cutting, for anything, pressing with tweezers is actually a godsend as well. But yeah, for example, that Bouffalant card, the glue phase was also a pain because I cut a hole where the Natus would sit into that fro. And I did a cleaning phase with Sharpie, which I'll get into in a bit with this card. But yeah, I did the cleaning phase, which is essentially just like coloring the edges of the layers to just hide the white puffy marks. But anyways, I did that. I did the glue. The glue slipped. The Natus kind of got a little bit messy. The ink from the edges of the cards kind of like covered over that. And yeah, I was really sad about it. I had to redo a good chunk of it as well because of that. Such a pain in my butt. Get someone else to do it, like Warhammer. Nah.
No. But again, that's my recommendation with Warhammer. Is I've tried to paint Warhammer and I failed really bad.
Oh,
so
I see.
My personal recommendation is have someone else do it.
But yeah, that's like kind of an example. I was just starting out with it. And I also think not only picking uncommons and common cards, if you have a bunch of extra cards laying around, really take a look at the art you want to do specifically and see if it will be good for the job. Like, typically a lot of the time, if you have a good foreground and background with some simple colors that you could do or add on to it, they normally work best if a lot of it is attached to the edge of the card as well. If the Pokemon or monster or anything is attached to the edge of the card, it actually helps a lot as well. Because yeah, simpler is actually better for it. But yeah, it's just assessing the art you want to do and make sure it kind of fits for it. That's why I'm like really intimidated with Yu-Gi-Oh and Magic cards, because some of the art, like the details in the art, are hugely like out of my ability as of right now, anyways. But yeah, that's my recommendation. That's why I think Pokemon's actually really good for it too, because it's just a lot of clean lines to work with.
And Pokemon's taken, like, there's so many different varieties of cards that have come around, right? Like, you can really dig into the different types of cards that Pokemon has made and what they're really getting into as well.
Yeah, for sure. Do I want to use this one or not? No. I need to show it for the next process. But yeah, I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, I have enough cards to spacers for the rest of the day. So that's the cutting phase.
Yeah, so you would just do that, what, like 16 to 17 more times than you did normally?
Yeah, it would take a lot longer normally. Yeah. Especially with how detailed the card itself is. So, pretty much now, if you have it cut out and if you have all the pieces that you want to do, you could straight up just glue them together if you want. If you just want the most basic bare bones version of this. But again, like I said, I want to do a bit more extra work. So we're going to do the cleanup phase. So essentially, I just kind of assess each layer, make sure I got all the little bits of it out, out of the way. Because a lot of the time, here's the card I was going to do. Okay. So with the Snom, oh god, focus. You can kind of see those white edges. It's kind of hard to show with this card because there's a lot of white with it. But up close, you could just see white sticking out or like fluffy edges where you put the point of your knife in. You want to clean that up, so you could just like kind of like cut off a little bit with a knife if you want. But then then you do something called the edge cleaning process, which you can use with Sharpies if you want, depending how much you want to go with it. But something I really recommend, / that video recommends, is brush pens. So I have a bunch of different colors. You can use black if you want. A lot of the times, if the art style has a lot of black heavy lines, just a simple black outline with a black Sharpie works perfectly fine with it. However, just how the art is with the Snom itself, we got some blue outlines. It doesn't really use many blacks. There's like a gray edge here. And then there's not that much like there's a lot of white, so I can actually just leave a lot of this card white as well on the edges. Yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh cards can definitely be superly over detailed. Sorry, I thought my PC froze and I freaked out for a second.
Oh, you're doing good. It's all still running. You're fine.
Okay. So I don't have that many color options for my felt pens. I don't keep them color oriented either. So I do know from using other layers is that I want to use this navy blue along the Snom's like blue jelly parts. So yeah, have this layer as well. And then essentially all I do is just carefully go along the edges of the card. Another great thing with brush pens is that the ink soaks in really, really nicely along these like edges that you've cut up and exposed. However, if you mess up and get over the card itself, it comes off really, really easy with just you sometimes don't even need a bit of water. You just wipe it off and that color just goes away. Like easy peasy if you get a little bit too overzealous with it. But yeah. Kind of rushing these edges too because like you're not gonna see it with other layers gluing on top of that.
And that's the thing, right? You're covering up pieces to make sure they look good, even though they might be not necessarily seen by the naked eye. It's like if someone were to inspect it, you'd have the option just to cover it a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. That's what I kind of do with the paint too.
Yeah, just so when the light hits it, it doesn't reflect in a weird way that doesn't make sense.
Blue here. Cool. Along the edge. And I'm for this one specifically, I'm stopping right where the blue shell ends. And then I don't know if I want to leave it white or use a black outline on the Snom to make it kind of stand out a little bit more. Because when you look at the art itself, it's really, really hard to tell on webcam. But there is a very thin, like, dark gray line for the Snom's head and whatnot. So I think I might just do a black outline really, really carefully along this. Just to...
Have it pop, you know?
I guess pop and just... There are some couple rough edges that I can hide better if I do that. So I'm doing that. Black. Also, my experience with black felts and black Sharpies, they are scary to work with sometimes, especially when you have a light. If you're doing it on a lighter what do I want to say? Lighter colored card, I guess. And that's also a very kind of dicey thing, I guess, with Sharpies as well. When you use a Sharpie, it'll bleed much easier and be a lot more permanent than a felt pen. Making me want to turn on the stream and listen to the music.
I think it's interesting, seeing the way that you kind of planned out a lot of the pieces of it. It's cool that I'm guessing a lot of this comes from experience. When you're saying, "Oh, the Sharpie bleeds," it's like there has to be a time when you switch to Sharpies and went, "Oh my God, this is ruined."
Oh yeah, yup. I'm still learning on a lot of stuff too. Like I'll try something new and then it doesn't go as well as I planned. If I screw it up enough, I'll redo it a different way. Or if it's minor enough, I'm like, okay, for next time I need to remember not to do that or approach it that way, I guess. So yeah. I'll flip it on chat. What's chat's favorite Pokemon out there? What's your favorite Pokemon, Brad? I kind of know this answer, and I know it's convoluted, but
yeah, the gimme answer is Bouffalont. It's easy. I'm really bad with favorites for reasons I can explain another time. But yeah, Bouffalont is just such a go-getter. I mean, Bouffalont has ties to me, man. If you ever saw, there's a cameo from an Extra Life event that I did a 24-hour stream a couple of years ago, and we did a random battle for donation to charity. and it was myself versus one of the leaders of the FGCC at the time, the Fighting Game Club of Calgary. And at the time, I was a big Bouffalon fan. And on my random battle, I got Bouffalon. And I was literally down 5 Pokemon to 1 with Bouffalon left, and we managed to clutch it out and win in the most ridiculous way possible. So it really cemented the history of Bouffalon in my likeness.
Yeah. That's cool.
We got some good ones in here, though. I mean, we've got Tyranitar, Joltik, Sneasel, Gengar, Mareep. All
Those
good
are
Pokemon.
all solid Pokemon. I also have a big issue with favorites as well. For the most part, I could easily say Cubone and Altaria are my top 2, though. Easily say that. So I want to just mention here with what I'm doing right now. So, like I said earlier, there's a lot of white with the snow in this card, so I'm choosing not to paint over it. However, there's some like shaded areas, so I'm going to look very carefully and go over the shaded areas and edge clean those specifically just to get rid of the white. So I'm using the same color I did for the Snom because I don't really have a better color that would work on a dark bluish gray. But yeah, Cloyster, Porygon 2. Zgill Bone, Zgill Sai. Cramorant, though, I love Cramorant as well. He's not in my top 2. That's for sure. Of course I love Cramorant. Cramorant was like such a cool addition. I'm a bird guy. And Cormorants are like my favorite water bird, I'd say. And it's a pun. It's like the perfect match. And it's Shiny's orange, which is my favorite color. Cramorant it's up there.
The gravy bird?
Yeah. Fun fact about Cramorant Shiny. I feel like it's talked about a lot, but there was a seagull on the news in Europe at one point that got caught in. It pretty much was found and reported by to the wild animal rescue that an exotic bird got out of someone's house. And when they went further to check, it was just a seagull that was dyed completely orange, covered in what was it again?
Wasn't it curry or something like that?
It was not curry, but it was a specific spice. But yeah, essentially it flew into a giant pot of curry, got stuck, and was actually really, really bad for its wings, and it took weeks to like just clean out. And its flight patterns. But again, it was just a bright orange seagull in the middle of Europe.
It was Vindaloo.
Vindaloo, that's what it was. Yeah.
Because it was named Vinny after that.
Right. Yeah, covered in Vindaloo sauce. So Cramorant, can be safe to assume that it was referenced to that seagull. Its shiny variant, the orange Cramorant. Nice water bird, bright orange, completely out there. Random neat Pokemon trivia.
Well, and Pokemon does this all the time, right? Like, there's got to be so many references. I would be thoroughly impressed by anyone who actually was able to recognize them all, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I know during part of this process, you make a lot of the decisions between whether to use Sharpie and brush pens, which you mentioned already. But do you usually do like, are you cleaning up every single edge that you cut, or?
No. So, not every single edge. Especially like even if there's like full white ones, full white edges. I don't edge clean the borders of the cards or the spacers. It was something I used to do a little bit, but I found out during the glue phase, even felt pens, glue tracks with that felt coloring, and it gets all over the card. So I keep the edges and like the edges of the border and the window of the cards as clean as possible. I think it kind of looks better from the inside. It's just like a simple white, like plain inside. For my energy cards, I don't do the outside, but for my energy cards, not this one. This is one I didn't do that for. Did I not do it? I guess all the ones I did sell for. Okay. The energy cards, I do an outside yellow, border. So I make the cards on the outside the same color as the border is, so it just kind of looks like a more solid image as well. But yeah, for the windows itself, I recommend not using any type of like coloring or marker and whatnot. So yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, so I got the blues along that shadow. That white's good there. Got that layer there. And again, you're done the cleaning. Again, you could stop at this process if you want to. Go straight to the glue part of the card. Finish it up. Finish your card there. However, again, like I said, I want to mask the backgrounds. So we're going to go to the background / painting part. You can use a Sharpie here if you want as well. And take every layer and back layer of that card that kind of like overlaps with each other and color it in with a Sharpie to like a what's the word I'm looking for? To replicate a shadow effect. As I said, I've done it with this Gengar. Replicates a shadow effect. I kind of just striked in and painted, like covered over the Gengar and like this Colosseum piece with black Sharpie. So it kind of looks like it's a shadow. And it, like, I also recommend doing this if like the background is super detailed and you're not willing to paint or repaint a whole background off of it. So you could do that with the background. However, I like painting, which it's like I'm not a good painter. I'm very wasteful with my painting as well. But I get it done. Because I think it winds up yielding a better result.
Well, and that's the thing. Your skill sets start to transfer at a certain point as well, right? You may not be a painter, but you do enough of it, and it'll start to work out in a certain sense,
Yeah. Whew, okay. So yeah, I have these 3 layers pretty much to paint. Referencing back. A lot of the time too, if I'm cutting out different pieces for like a singular Pokemon, like the Pokemon itself, I sometimes have to paint and hide and mask those pieces as well on the Pokemon, which can be a little bit trickier. As again, if that Greninja is still there up earlier, point out the knee of that Greninja. It had a water trail originally, and it was covering the leg, and I had to paint over that to mask the hand being in front of him as well. And it could get you have to be a little bit more, I guess, detailed, I'd say, for those types of ones. But like again, a lot of the time, a simple color in the background. A lot of the time, there's going to be cards in front of the area you're painting, so you don't really notice the different texture in paint unless you go really close. Look at the card very closely. So yeah. I have these 3 layers. I'm going to do a primer layer first. I already did a primer of white paint, I guess. I just use white acrylic paint to cover up these layers. It's going to be the background layer. And another thing too, as I mentioned before, think smart, paint smarter, not harder. Oh, I guess okay. I have to add that to that background layer. But essentially, I only painted a little bit over of what is going to be seen, like even a little bit in the card. So I didn't paint the whole card. I only picked the pieces that I wanted to hide and I wanted to mask overall. But I did miss something on the base layer, so I'm gonna have to do that here. Like I said.
Well, it's a constant evaluation process, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's just constantly like just paying attention, I guess. Yeah.
Well, and looking at it, I mean, especially if it's for yourself, you get to look at it and say, hey, I like it this way, I like it that way, and just you make sure you're kind of simulating it and evaluating it.
Totally. All right, paintbrushes. Very thin model paintbrushes that I use for finer detailed parts of it. Where is my water dish? Did I forget something? I forgot something. I will be right back. I don't know if I have a better No, I don't have a better overlay.
All good.
To.
It's all good. We'll see you soon.
Yeah.
Quick, everyone, while Alex is grabbing water, write him sweet messages in the chat. I know that you all can do that. It could be lovely if he returned to a bunch of sweet, nice things. How is that? How is that the meme? How come everyone's saying that? I don't know if I get that one. But I've heard it so many times in the last 3 days. Holy. Thanks, Gobs. I appreciate it. He's gonna love it.
Okay. Hey, Alex, thanks for saving my cat from a tree and letting me borrow your Lambo for... I was when I was homeless. It's just honesty, bro. No problem, dude.
I asked the chats to tell cool, positive stories about you.
Oh, fair. See ya, Mike. But yeah, got my water dish, which I've used for paint before. It's a lovely Hobbit cup, movie cup cut up. I don't know.
Not for consumption.
Not for consumption, obviously. That also just reminded me I need to swap mats because I like keeping this mat clean for cutting only.
That's another smart thing, is resources, right? Understanding the resources and what you can use in certain ways.
Yeah. Yes. Especially the glue phase. I learned this the hard way. I had one cutting mat before, but then it turned to this. So...
Question from chat: have you ever accidentally sipped the paint water?
Not from doing this, but I have done it from like doing so other things, other creative things. Nothing weird. Definitely have been there once. Yeah, I actually used to make pretty much pixel art, but with wooden blocks and paint. So I used to do that for fun. Never really like did anything else further than that, other than for like as gifts for people or for my own for my own interests and things. But yeah, used to do a lot of craft stuff. So, anyways, I'm priming here, getting a glob of white paint, and you can paint. You can obviously paint over the edges too. You don't really have to care about super fine details when it's along the edge, because you're not going to be seeing that. That's going to be glued over. Yeah, just one layer of like white paint quickly on there, and then I had this layer actually prepped to do it. So. True, 2 separate water containers.
And one with a buzzer when you lift it off the table.
And take a sip of water.
Imagine if you prepared the outside
along
of that
with
cup.
Some Red Bull.
Imagine if you had painted the outside of the cup to make it look like a paint cup, and you just prepped that. Like...
That'd be way too. I'd be way too prepared for that. Thin layer there. The paint there. And we prime it. Speaking of, no. I almost did a Twitch Prime bit, then stopped myself.
I mean, they can't even sub with Twitch Prime to this channel.
That's
so
true.
Try as you might, you'll have to spend your Twitch Primes elsewhere.
Oh my. This is true.
You know, I know some great people you could donate them to. Lots of local content creators.
Yeah, there's a ton. Gobrins from helping out the stream.
Gobrins.
He's a good lad. I greatly enjoy his content. He's one of the most entertaining Twitch streams I actually watch. And I deadass mean that. He makes something I hate, which is an MMO, interesting.
It's and it's worth noting that like pretty much anything you've seen today, anything you've watched, anything you tuned into, like everyone's got their own kind of side hustle. You know, they got their own projects going on. Mm-hmm. This isn't all that everyone does. So I really recommend checking everybody out for sure.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah, D. Okay.
Oh, so my prime's up today.
Oh, speak of the devil. Know your Prime Day. Okay. So there we go. We got our layers. That seeking layer sneaking in into place. Yes, I know I already did a seeking pun, but whatever. Yeah. Here we go. Got our layers. All primed. These cards are dry already, so I'm just going to go straight to the actual painting phase. So again, I don't have to do much here. However, I do need to mix and find a color that kind of matches this like grayish. I think there's some blue in it. It's hard for me to tell, but I think I can get away pretty easily with just some black and white and making just a light gray to paint where the snom is and a little bit more white along the back end of it. So yeah. I'm going to do that on this layer as well. And then, of course, the layer I just did as a primer, I'm going to put another layer of white paint on top of that just to cover up that faint leaf spot, I should say. Hello. So, sorry, I just need I spilt water. No. Okay. Make some layers here, or stack these so I just know what order they're in still. Also always recommend keeping them in like the order you want them in, especially if you have like multiple layers of cards. It can get really confusing sometimes of what goes where.
So if I'm reading my notes correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, but usually you do a much larger paint job, but you're sparing it for the sake of this because of the dry time, if I'm understanding correctly?
Oh yeah, dry time. Yes, for paint, I like to let it dry, but again, for this process, a lot of the time I feel I can get away with acrylic paints. The big thing that I need to worry about drying is when I put a finishing coat onto it, which you don't have to do. I just like to do it, especially if I'm doing a commission for someone. I like to have a final finish on it just so there's no wear and tear. Plus, I kind of like the matte look and feel of it as well. Heck yeah, I'm on TV, Mom. Yeah. Oh, wow, you just used the same joke. You're not allowed. Oh, my God.
But I mean, yeah, it's such a good point that the matte finish is super important if you're looking for, like, I mean, that matches the cards, right?
Yeah. Okay. I always like just guesstimate how much paint I need. And I know I use way more than I should be using, but go with it. So yeah, just making a light gray kind of color here.
And that's again just eyeballing it. Hey, you've got the two
I eyeball a lot. I am not a painter. I'm not good with paint. I work with what I can do a lot of the time. And again, it's just experience as well.
Well, let me tell you, I've been there needing paint mix to match a color, and like the machinery that gets involved in that, like you need an engineering degree to know how that stuff works. I ain't color matching nothing.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. Okay. Now for this part, I like using my super duper thin paintbrush. just so I can get the edges properly, because I do want to get. So my plan for this layer is I do want to get a straight line like down this way, and then down this way, and then maybe fill out the snom a little bit here, and then get these edges like just get more white on top of these surfaces, this surface as well. Same with this card, like I said. Looks like there's a darker gray here, and it kind of fades out a little bit, so I might actually put a little bit of black, bit more black, on top of this. But yeah. And again, I chose this card specifically because it's not very detailed in the color department for painting as well. So I am using a much more basic, like, doing a much more basic thing to paint. Okay, so yeah, and I look at this and I'm like, it kind of matches. I don't exactly match colors a lot of the time, because again, a lot of the time the layers are going to be over top of it. So it's like, even if it's slightly off, it can kind of replicate the shadow thing I was bringing up with like the Sharpie earlier of like whatever's in front of it. His mom is just downstairs. I can do no. Oh yeah. Instead, I'm adding a little bit more black to this corner just to get a little bit darker of a gray. It's kind of hard to tell on webcam. The color is not exactly the same, but yeah. Along this edge, start getting the dark colors. Down. A little bit of water. Oh no! What? Mama, which comment?
Probably Mama Guillotine.
Mama Guillotine.
No context necessary.
So my whole branding before I swapped to zGz Productions was zGuillotine. So that was my old handle. That's where zGz comes from. It's in my logo. It's in my branding. I love my logo too much to change the name completely, and that's pretty much the reason why I've kept it. So yeah.
Yeah, if you haven't peeped the hat is mad fire.
Yeah, I guess I do. Wait. This is a classic zGz transition. Not really. It's just a regular transition, but I screwed up the. Okay, whatever.
Classic.
Classic. So yeah.
There you go. It's a really cool logo.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember walking into a meetup or a salt once, like an early salt. And then Brad's just like, that logo is too stupidly good, and I wish mine were better.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. It's true. I wish. Ooh.
Not throwing shade, because I really like his logo. Hey, Shad, how was randoms?
Yo, who won?
Random salts. Who won?
Come on, Skim. Please tell me Skim. Skim, my boy Lethbridge.
So how I was saying, I needed blue before. I need to add some blue now.
Congrats to Ray. Ray deserved it.
A little bit of blue. Again, it's a lot of guesstimate work. Yo. Oh, to further confuse it, yes, my other my Smash handle's Andrew as well. So my name's kind of all over the place.
Yeah, Ray is ridiculously good. And yes, your handle has been all over the place. I mean, you have zGz Andrew now, as seen by the chair behind you. But it's going great. Yeah, I like where you're at.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I think I really want to separate myself from, like with Andrew, like I like separating myself for specific things. Like if I can go to a Smash thing, I don't want to be my brand. In a lot of ways, it's kind of like my own kind of like more of a personal handle and whatnot. And a lot of people do just recognize the name as that as well too. Versus zGz is just kind of like the, hey, look at me, I'm doing stuff. Hi, Mom. A we are, I will try to speed things up. I just looked at the time.
It's okay. I'm looking at your notes here. I'm going to do a small call out. You had all the first few sections all detailed out with no times, and then at the end here you have like the times just for the last stages.
Oh yeah, it's my bad.
That's okay. You're doing all right.
Okay. But yeah, everyone new from Shad's stream, we're doing a 3D card art right now. It's actually going to be given away by the end of this. So it's a 3D Snom card art. The giveaway details are on my Twitter, zGz_productions, or if a link could get posted.
We just
Oh,
linked
you
it,
literally just linked it. Okay. But yeah, that link there. Alex ASMR.
I think
Thanks
the
to
Alex.
Andrew. Oh my god, no!
I think the Alex laugh ASMR is like a video I really could do for in my life.
Just hours of my voice clipped into my laugh.
Yeah, it would be great. It seriously would be like a good, just like feel good video.
I've been told it's a very contagious laugh, or like laugh that's adored, which I honestly never thought, but then a lot of people say otherwise, so okay. Again, you can see here, got a little line, it's kind of painted over, tried to do a little bit of shading there, but it's not going to matter too much, so that's what I got for that. And then I'll do a little bit more white just to hide these little details real quick as well. Just gonna glob this on now.
So just to get the talking piece through, just so we can discuss it a little bit, you're finishing up the painting, but then the next stage is gluing, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes, and that phase is probably going to bleed out to after stream. So the finished product, I'll probably just tweet. We could kind of see what it looks like before.
Yeah. Well, it has to solidify and dry and all that stuff too, right? Like it's not gonna.
Oh yeah, the gluing I leave overnight and whatnot as well. But I could definitely start the process.
Yeah, you can show everyone.
Yeah.
But is there like a choice involved in the gluing process? Like, what do you usually do to put it together?
Oh, I see where you go. Okay. Yeah. So I use tacky glue just because it's cheap, reliable, and whatnot, and I just let it dry overnight for that. With some type of paperweight, but you can honestly use any type of glue possible. Some are better than others. Some are more affordable than others. In theory, you can do super glue for a bunch of cards. I actually like going back to the energy cards. I use super glue for these ones because I need the glue to sit and affix onto this as quickly as possible, just because of how thin the edges are. So I want it dry and solid as quickly as possible. For like the little Pokemon details, like these guys, like I would do for this, I'm going to do with the Snom. I use super glue as well, just because you want it quick and it's like you want it to be as precise as possible. You don't want as much bleeding as possible. But yeah, for the separate layers of the cards, I like using tacky glue. So. Hi, Kevin. The real zGz. Who's the fake zGz? Steal your money, Z. No. Like I said, though, I just like doing craft stuff in general. I've been doing it since I was a kid, since I was a teenager. I just kind of like find new things to do. And this card stuff really stuck. And it's like, I feel like there's so much variety I could do. I almost never get bored of it. People also start asking me to make stuff for them and throwing money at me. I'm also not going to complain about that either. So it's a fun process. I'm using a bigger brush here just to try to speed up things. Again, this card's a little bit speed rushed.
Oh, but I mean, it's all good. You've
It's
got,
prepped.
yeah, exactly. You've got it all set up. I like how you're showing the details of the different steps of the process, right?
Yep.
And realistically, there's not much left after this. I mean, there's a lot of waiting.
There's a lot of
ton,
waiting and a
ton
lot
of
of
waiting.
tedious stuff. And I want to do a few layers of the glue first, just to show what I do. Okay. So just kind of do a rough edge there. Yeah. I sometimes go for more than like a second layer of paint if I really want to, and hide it. Like extra, especially if it's a lighter color of paint, because you can still kind of see through stuff a lot of the time. But yeah, thinner paintbrush. Which you got right here.
And just to get an idea for people who are tuning in here, how long does it usually take you to make? Like, if you count the hours of you building the card, and then you prepping all the stuff and then doing it live on stream, like how long does this really take you?
Like even like for this card specifically?
Sure. I mean, this is an example if you can pull it up.
Well, I mean, I think this was a little technically, even though it's on a quick panel, it was a lot more prep work in general, just because I wanted to do a bigger overview of like how my process and stuff as well. But I spent a good 4 hours on stuff yesterday prepping for the stream, plus a bunch of stuff today as well. So
Yeah,
on average, like it's around 5 hours. And then if you want to consider glue waiting time and all that stuff as well, a bit longer.
I just think it goes to show how much work goes into the craftsmanship of these things when people are evaluating the cards and what they want out of them. I mean, you obviously got to be prepared to put in a lot of elbow grease and a lot of time to make these things.
Well, yeah, and I also spend a lot more time when I'm doing it for someone else as well too.
The commissions, yes.
Yeah, specifically with commissions and stuff, I do spend a lot more time on it than I would if it was like, you know, I'm making a card for free for someone, or if I'm doing it for myself. I don't spend nearly as much time on it. I'm a bit happier with some mess ups, but
you say that, but I saw your Alteria card. It is godlike.
that was a separate card. Yeah.
For those who haven't seen it, there was extra. There was cotton and things added to this thing to make the clouds look real. It was so nice.
I have it. It's another room though.
That's okay. They can check it out on the zGz Twitter, I'm sure.
Or my Instagram. My Instagram is purely card art stuff. So if you use Instagram, I do almost specifically just card art stuff on that as well, which is the same handle as my Twitter, zGz_productions. See like some rough paint details a lot of the time. Sometimes, like, again, I did a Flygon commission for someone earlier, which I have the card for. I just painted the whole background because the blending was a little bit awkward, so I just did my own colors, did like the whole other thing, and I painted the whole background for it. But yeah. The fact that this is snow is really, really like working in my favor, though. Not gonna lie with how it's looking.
I mean, there's there's always the different pieces, the different turnouts, right?
And you just make do with what you have, or like just, you know, doesn't have to be perfect. Exactly. Like I said before, I'm not amazing at painting. Like I'm really not. But I feel almost anyone, if you want to just put in the time and just practice into it, put as much or little detail into the cards as you'd like if you want to try it yourself.
What is the Bob Ross saying? Happy little accidents.
Happy little accidents, exactly. Live by that. And more than just painting.
Or if we were to quote Ty from earlier in the day, to be a willow tree blowing in the wind. I don't even remember what he said.
I missed whatever that was, but
anyone who watched the podcast knows what I'm talking about with Ty's quote there.
So for this one, I noticed there's a little bit of leaf covering a little bit of shadow, and I'm just gonna change that up real quick because I put white over that like darker bit. I'm just gonna cover that up just a teensy bit with gray. I need water first. Boop. Okay, that layer's done. Hopefully this layer will be as well. Base layer. I'm using a thicker brush and less detail because, again, white on white snow, not a huge deal. There's going to be a lot of layers on this base layer that is going to be covering up these leaves and whatnot. So it's not going to be as noticeable. Plus, the texture of it just kind of works with the snow as well. Sorry for my muffled voice. There's a, as you can see, there's a paintbrush in my mouth.
As one does.
As one does, yeah. So yeah, I nudged that. 1 second there. Okay. Again, a lot of less work. These leaves, I didn't have to edge clean much. I did the green on them earlier. Nothing really covering them, so they could just be left as is. And this top layer card, also fine as is, so I'm just going to leave it like that. Clean up these edges real quick here. And then a little bit of gray. I'm pretending there's bopping music right now.
There is
right.
bopping music right now.
I'm pretending though. I'm not into the cam. All right, so there we have it. We have all our painted layers. I could leave them out to dry for a little bit, which I plan to do because I have to work on the snom itself. So, and honestly, there you have it. At face value, if you look at them, you could tell that it's textured a little bit differently with the light and everything as well too. There's a little bit of brush marks and whatnot. But yeah, that's why I try doing it as minimal as possible and trying to get to the edges as clean as possible as well. But it also isn't shown as much because there's something on top of that area you colored in. All right. My trick with like doing the Pokemon or positioning of a Pokemon on a card or whatnot is that I normally try keeping, if I can, maintain a full image of the Pokemon before actually going in with it. So I do have it here, this little window for one of the top layers, and place it here. Mental math. I know that this is my bottom layer. I should mention we're on our next phase, which is the gluing phase as well. Followed by this top layer. Then again, I can probably get away with just lining up this spike with the other spike. Yeah. So yeah. Now it's just gluing this together. So I use super glue, Gorilla super glue. I don't keep my containers super clean, but yeah. And I put as little as possible on these smaller pieces. Because if anyone's ever worked with super glue before, they know how badly it can end up very quickly. So again, less is more with super glue. I did 3 tiny dots on here. Super tiny dots. Got the back piece. And I look at a visual point that I want to line up this front piece with the other one. For now, right now, it's this back spike right here, which I wonder if I can do something. 1 second.
I'll be back. Just 1 second here.
Yep. Just going to do this. It's as zoomed in as I can get it, and there's a lot of glare. Oops. Okay. So line up this spike with another spike. If you have tweezers here, now is a good time to do them as well. Line it up. Glue hasn't dried yet. And then I press once I'm happy with where it's sitting. So, right about there. And I press. All right. His stress, mega stress right now. I keep misplacing my tweezers. A lot of the time, I'm really bad with this. I got this organizer. I try putting it all back like as I'm doing things. No, the giveaway ends on Sunday at 11:59 p.m. So pretty much the end of tomorrow. 11:59 p.m. and 59 seconds. To be specific. So as 1 second before midnight. There are my tweezers. Okay. Same thing again. Little pieces, I like putting the glue. I gotta be very careful on what pieces go where. So this boy right here. I'm pressing up now. Put a little tiny dot. There.
MDT time zone.
Oh, sorry, yeah. MDT, yeah. Mountain. Daylight. What?
I love that nobody knows, right? Like, it's Mountain Daylight Time, but like, Mountain...
I always put MST. Like, I know it's not supposed to be a thing, but like, I'm like, Mountain Standard Time. It makes sense. Wouldn't it technically be standard if it's the daylight time?
I feel like that wasn't a problem for the last 25 years, you know?
Yeah.
And just this year, people are using it properly.
Yeah.
Like,
it's always weirding me out. I like these tweezers specifically a lot. They're pretty expensive tweezers, I'm not gonna lie. But I like... They're metal, so I can actually use this flat edge here to put some pressure without using my fingers and getting caught and rubbing things. If I use this end, it's actually really, really pointy and will make a mark as well. I learned that the hard way. So. And we got Another bump right here. Have you heard of Glories of Goblins the Wise? If not, join my cult. I will show the way. Yeah, adjust it to EDT, obviously.
Or just enter right now.
You could just enter right now. There's multiple ways of doing it.
Bam. I've tossed the giveaway in chat.
You get points for following on Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram, and visiting my YouTube, because YouTube policy does not like you following for those types of things. Or retweet the tweet / also follow Esports Alberta. You won't get points, but yeah. It is the place to be. Oh, I got you. Subscribe to. Nice.
Yeah, I believe if you win the draw, you win the draw regardless of whether you're there or not.
Oh
right?
yeah,
Like, you don't have to be
100%.
present.
100%. Ah! Okay, so like a lot of small pieces like this. Not super. Don't give you that much leeway to work with sometimes, I should say. But yeah,
Well,
I use super glue because I'm doing like these extra layers I'm putting on top. I can put pressure on the card without worrying about the card like slipping now on the layers because it's already dried.
have you ever glued a Pokemon to the table?
Yes.
Okay.
I've also my less is more strat kind of I've been using less and less, or like knowing how much to use over the times I've been making these cards too, because my paperweight gets covered with glue sometimes if I put too much on, and then glue just winds up getting put on the next layer and sticks to the paperweights I use, which will be neat when I show them. It's just a bunch of coasters, but I think this little nub angles down a little bit. Grab my reference here. Line it up.
See, and actually, can you just put them next to each other for the camera to see?
1 second.
Yeah, when you're done there.
Sorry, I'm not looking at the camera. I know I'm not center sometimes.
No, that's okay. That's okay. You're doing good.
So,
when it's dry and when you have a chance, I just wanted people to see the difference. Look at the two. Like, one looks immediately more 3D, and I know the camera doesn't do it justice, but like,
yeah, it's really hard with the camera.
You can see the one pop out way more than the other immediately, and that's just the start, right?
Yeah. I got this little nub's a little bit chopped off here too, which is not going to be super noticeable because I'm putting it under snow, but yeah, you can definitely tell the difference. But if you really wanted to, you could have just cut out the snow as is and just put it on the card as well and add it as a separate layer. I just prefer doing it this way and having like a separate, like, I guess kind of textured, layered thing with this card, like with the Pokemon specifically as well. All right, and that's the super glue of the Snom. We do the glue phase of the actual card. I guess I forgot to do this because I'm talking and it's a panel, but I normally map out what layers I want where with my spacers before this phase, just so I kind of know. I normally do it right before the paint phase. But I got my spacers here, and I'm pretty much just gonna see how it looks. I think 2-2-2 on every layer is gonna wind up working good. I might do 3 here on the base layer to the back one. Now it's just stacking. So you just kind of analyze. You look at the shadow. That's kind of drawing a shadow there. There's depth. Place our Sea Kings here. Another 2. On the snowbank. Another 2. The leaves. And actually looking at this now too, I kind of want to add a couple more layers in between here. I don't know where yet. I just need to check this out. And another 2. I typically like putting 2 between the top layer, the very top layer, and the second from the top. Just like it keeping consistent. I like how it looks with 2. But yeah, that's kind of what we're looking at right now. And I'll show you really quickly what I do with the... if I have a Pokemon or object that's not connected to the card directly, I use foam backings that I cut out, double-sided foam. So you could buy these in bulk for super cheap, like a couple dollars on Amazon. It's essentially just this little foam square. It's about this thick. Sometimes I stack it on top of each other if I want a certain, like, more depth, I guess. And yeah, essentially all I do is I grab my knife. Oh, another thing I should add about the cutting thing and like how any cut can screw it up. If you use a clean cutting mat, obviously cutting mat should be clean normally, but like the knives I found actually track a lot if you have like a bunch of like stuff on there. So like I have all this dried glue and paint and whatnot. It does catch pretty easily. So it's just another thing to think about. But the foam's pretty easy to cut, so it's not as detrimental, I guess. Okay.
I think it's really cool seeing it all come together.
Yeah.
And I mean, so many of these products are available like everywhere, right? You could just go to your local Michael's and get 99% of this. You know, pass by Michael's, pass by a card shop, bam, you have everything you need.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Speaking of, I misplaced the Snom.
Is he in the cup?
Let's go.
Is he in the cup?
I didn't put him in the bowl. See, this is exactly why. So easy to lose them. He'll get retrieved. Don't worry. We'll find him. Sometimes they stick to my arm.
Saving Private Snom.
Saving Private Snom. Oh no.
Did he fly off the desk with a breath of air? Is he under the spacers?
Did it fall on the ground? He's on the ground. He's rescued.
Making a run for it.
All right, immediately you do this. Do this. All right, from the looks of it here, I can already tell I need to put 2 blocks on top of each other. And these are rough because you don't see them. You want to make them really small though, just so they support whatever layer you have underneath. So yeah, these 2 very tiny squares. Take a layer off here. Take a layer off. Run save, boys. Here. Since it's 2, I did a Dusknoir card like way back, and his hand is sticking out. Since it was like away and not attached to a card, it literally goes outside of the card. I had to put 5 of these on top of each other, so it was just a tower of foam like this tall. It was stacked. And then now you look at the Snom, like this is pretty easy because it's going to be dead center in the middle. You kind of want to like see where the foam is going to stick back here on the base card or wherever you want to choose to support it. Luckily enough, I could just put it dead center on the Snom as well. And then at the very end, I center the Snom. I want to angle it so this snowbank is above. I actually lied.
Can't believe you would lie to these people.
I think I only need one foam piece. A little, where are my tweezers? A little bit too excited. Stick. Reassess here, put it with one layer. I'm going to want to angle it a little so it rests like this. Hello? Oh.
No worries. Just bringing the team together for the last pieces.
Oh yeah.
Don't worry, you got lots of time. Don't stress.
Okay. So yeah, kind of center it there, and it's obviously going to be very wobbly right now, but this is kind of what you're going to expect with the final product. So we go. Okay, god dang it. I'm gonna have to do some jank stuff and like slide it underneath. It's not gonna be perfectly centered, but yeah, you can see him. He's a little cute stom embedded in the snow.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, that's amazing.
Well, and really the only thing that you're missing from this process, obviously we're not going to show it, but there's like 24 hours of gluing now, right? That's really all that's left.
Gluing and then a matte finish.
And then
a finish. It could be any
matte,
type.
Yeah.
In this case, matte. I use old reliable Mod Podge. Comes as a glue and a sealer, I guess. So I just put a couple sprays over top each layer of the card, or sometimes just the whole finished product in general. But yeah.
Awesome.
So
that's fantastic.
Yeah. Just kind of show the gluing process, just so I can.
For sure.
A little bit. First few cards, and then I'll wrap up.
Yeah. You got time. Yeah. I want people to see, because I want people to be able to try this from home. And I mean, where can people find more information if they are looking to get involved in this? Like, is this something that you're willing to teach people?
I mean, like, a little bit, when I stream it, if people want to ask me about it, I could just tell them where I get all the materials, where I do with all that stuff. It's like, really, anyone can do it and go as little and far detail. I really think that jWit's video covers like almost everything to like a T, and then like a lot of the small specific stuff you just kind of find out on your own as you do it. Just like small, minute details, I guess.
Yeah,
that I picked up on. So yeah. Brain. I'm swapping over to tacky glue now. Tacky like my puns. So I should add as well. I almost forgot to do this. That would have been bad. The very base of the card, I like going. I guess you can kind of do it in any order, but I like going from bottom to top. I take 2 regular cards. Doesn't have to be the same set, because a lot of cards are kind of shaped like the base of the card is kind of shaped the same, even though they're different materials and stuff. It's not different windows. Just to have a sturdy back, because eventually, if you're gluing a lot of these layers together, especially if there's a lot of open like cards in between, or like there's like a layer that for example, you have 5 spacers. Over time, with the glue drying and stuff, it likes to pull itself. So it will bow a little, or bow, however you say that word. It's spelt the same. English is weird. So yeah, I keep a couple cards in the back just to keep it thicker and more sturdy. So.
And I mean, that's a great way to. That's a great like piece of information that I think a lot of people would easily miss, right?
Yeah.
It's something that's so easy to get thrown into.
Speaking of throwing glue, unlike the super glue, I use less than I used to, but I am a lot more generous with this glue, on the cards. If you like as well, I use like the edge of an old card just to spread it a bit more thinly and evenly as well. I find it dries a little bit better and it gets a little. Stops like air bubbles from actually like happening sometimes. So And then it's just a matter of taking the top card, put this little edgy drizzle on top, and then you take your paperweights. I use coasters. Also, my table's slanted, so I need something to hold it because like it pushes down. So we're gonna do that, and put the coasters there. And while those coasters are what's it called? While those cards are like sort of drying, or actually like holding, you just glue the next card. I glue the backs of it. I know I did the front last time, but there's the card I was using.
I love the Monster Hunter box just chilling there, you know, just as a little teaser. Hey, everyone.
Teaser of maybe I'll open one pack. I'm actually really excited to open these. I want to do it on
the card opening stream. You're gonna do it another time.
Or video or something.
I mean, think about it. If anyone is a Monster Hunter fan, even just look at the preview of the cards they have on the box. That's
like, yeah. Even though I actually think, like, again, it's Monster Hunter Stories. It's not the base game, but Monster Hunter Stories has so many different monsters and different varieties, and like, there's just art of the monsters specifically there. So, I'm really excited to opening. I'm pretty much gotchaing which cards I can make though by doing this because I can't just order specific cards for cheap. But yeah.
Well, and who knows? I mean, hopefully there's some good commons, you know?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of good commons. My one dream monster to get as a card, there's a Kongolala art card there too. I love Kongolala. I know it's people have mixed feelings about it, but it's just this giant pink monkey who farts. I think I relate a lot to it. And he holds a mushroom on the end of his tail too, so
there you go. Like, what's not to like?
Mushrooms are delicious. Change my mind. But yeah, I saw some previews of it, and there's one specific like art of like Kongolala specifically that I'm like, I want this. I swear, I hope I get enough copies to make of it. Another thing I guess I could have added before too. With the base card, if you do one solid color, as a background, you don't have to get a copy of the card you're making. You can straight up just get any card, paint a different like mosaic background, and just be done with it. So you definitely use left with that. Yeah, doing salt mine stuff. Another thing I like to add too, which I forgot to mention, like with the overglue stuff, you will get a little bit of drippage. Like that's kind of unavoidable. I try cleaning up as it's drying. That's also why I like tacky glue, because it doesn't dry right away, and it's like quick enough for you to just like kind of clean up and like rub along the edges. But as you can see with my coasters here, might be a little bit hard. There's glue on all the backs of them. So as I'm like, you know, doing this process, there's tends to get a lot of wet glue onto this. So when I pull it out, it pulls the cards with me. So I definitely just swap between the coasters as I'm doing it. So yeah, place it. I can go. I also just remind myself, put the snom here on the bowl. Getting my card for my son shipped down. Yeah, that sounds good, dude. Yeah, it just sucks that COVID kind of happened right as we were ready to. I was ready to give it to you. You know. Sounds good though. For those of you interested, Chad commissioned his son Cool Gyarados.
Cool Gyarados. What a sick card, right?
I love this card so much. Surprisingly enough, it was really, really hard to find a good, decent art for the Gyarados specifically. Just because, like, Gyarados, just for some reason, well, for obvious reasons, is mostly just holo or like EX and like full art. It's really, really hard to just find a basic card of Gyarados that works. So I was really happy we found that. So, yeah.
And I mean, Gyarados is such a popular card. I imagine that just in general, like some of them are really expensive.
Oh yeah, on average they're really expensive. I think that was that one was like reasonable, but yeah, on general they were actually pretty on the high end. There's a surprising number of red Gyarados cards too. I feel like there's more red Gyarados cards than there are cards of certain Pokemon right now still. Like on their own. We just can't drop that Mon.
I mean, look, it's a popular Mon for a reason, right?
Yeah. Another note for the spacers. This is just a personal thing I do, but you can use any type or like match like element or whatever color card you want in between layers. I like picking the same element as the card I'm working with. Like you can't see anything, but like in my head, blue layers with blue like in between just makes more sense than having a mishmash.
Just a preference.
Yeah, it's just a preference thing. And like I'm like, oh, what if a card does slip and you do somehow see that layer somewhere? It's like if it's blue, it's not as big of a deal. Like this, we got our first layer. Stack. Now, when I was previewing it, something I think you got to know when you're previewing it as well too, before you glue together, that the layers aren't going to be exactly like spaced how you vision it. They're going to be a little bit closer together, obviously because they're pressed up against glue. So I think that's just something you have to pay attention to. It's like, oh, if that's thicker than you want it to be, it might not be. That makes sense at all. I don't know.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a really cool process, isn't it? I mean,
yeah,
I really appreciate you putting that together, and I know it's difficult when we can't have the
full yeah. Sorry, finish. My bad.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just communicating one thing. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to show, but I mean, you have so many finished cards. If you wouldn't mind, I'd love to see just one or two more of the finished cards to close out the panel here, just so they can see it.
Yeah, one second. I'm gonna just do this real quick. We have this layer here, and we'll just like kind of stack this on top of each other. Just so
busy hands, man.
Huh?
Busy hands. You know it's cool when somebody loves what they do so much they can't just like put it down. They're not like excited, like, oh, I'm so done. It's like you just keep going. I love it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's what it's gonna kind of look like being. Whatever. I might after this add a little bit more white here just along the edges just to hide that. But yeah, Snom's gonna look cute once it's finished. It's a good boy. All right, to wrap things up, post some of my favorites. And I just want to... Oh, I can't post links. I'll just send it to you, Brad.
For sure.
I just want... you bring up the Altaria card just makes me want to be like, hey.
Show it off, man, and then we can close. Then we can close it out, and we can end the day here. Me and Vic will take it off your hands when that time comes.
Yeah. So this is a birthday present I did. It's a Meganium one. I really, really like. There's some details, like I lost its antenna. Sometimes it's just kind of a carnage thing with super thin cuts, but yeah, I like that one. It's right in front of the Johto League. It's hard to tell. This Scyther one was a really, really early card I did. But yeah, it turned out really, really well as well. And Sneasel.
Sneasel's such a good, like, actually, like the highlight on the claws is so prevalent there. It's really nice.
Oh yeah, it's really, really good. And I really like how the painted. This was like one of those cards where I did a full background and just like completely painted over the background instead of messing around with it. And I think it turned out way better because of that as well. Sneasel just kind of looks like a what's a better word for it? A delinquent. Love him. He's a little God damn. Doo-doo disturber.
I'm like, what are you going for here?
I can't find.
It's okay. You got it. You got it.
Yeah, I got the link.
So one more time for everybody, we have a giveaway. Please check it out.
Yeah, giveaway.
I got the link in the chat.
Want to follow me? All my socials are on that giveaway actually. So
there you go.
And do card art. I also do gaming stuff. That's
yeah. Tune into zGz Productions for Halloween content all month long, and then other content after Halloween.
If you like someone watching someone suffer through Souls-like games and Monster Hunter, that's the place. Pokemon Nuzlockes, haven't done one of those in a while, but yeah, I definitely like to suffer playing games. It seems.
Well,
yeah,
I think that's just a zGz special, right? The guillotine is meant for that, isn't it?
Honestly, I never thought about that. I used to make a joke because I did unboxing videos for the longest time. It's just like I use the guillotine to open up the boxes, but honestly, the guillotine itself, definitely like to suffer. Self-inflicted suffering.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I think that will close the panel out for the day. And I'm gonna be bringing it back to myself and Victor for some closing remarks for everybody still tuning around. It might just take 1 second for Gobs to set up our cams, but we should be good to go. Thanks so much, Alex. I really appreciate it. That was a sick panel.
Yeah, no problem.
I'm excited to see the card finished.
Yeah, I'm excited to finish the card.
Yeah, please post it as soon as it's done so everyone can see it.
I will. Like, I might actually do the matte finish now that I didn't actually finish the card, so I'll do all that. Should be up tomorrow.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Do I just or am I getting yoded?
Yeah, Gobs is transitioning.
Okay, I'll get yoded.